We continue today in our Unraveled series, seeing how God is with us in all the moments of life that cause us to unravel whether in ways that are hurtful to us or ways that feel really difficult, or sometimes the unraveling that happens is a good kind of unraveling as we open up our minds and learn new things and take in new experiences, and we see the beautiful complexities of life in a whole new way. So today we continue, and we read through this portion of text from the prophet Jeremiah, sending a letter of encouragement to a group of people whose life had unraveled to nothing. The last 7 months for us here in America specifically has seemed like one big forced move. A move that none of us asked for or sought. A forced move from normal to, and you've heard this word many times, unprecedented. I heard someone recently say that, you know what? I'm ready to go back to precedented times. I'm tired of unprecedented times, and hearing that word, I'm ready to go back to precedented times. I've heard others lament, is this really the new normal? Is this what we have to look forward to in our future? All of the disruptions and the ways that we're not able to communicate with one another and relate to each other without these barriers on our face and plastic shields and distance, and not being able to spend a lot of time with friends, and not able to do a lot of the things that we maybe took for granted leading up to this time. I don't know about you, but when I think of the future, I can't help but to go backwards in time, praying and hoping that the future brings back what we had before March, going back to February and January and all of last year. First on that list for me is bring back a Super Bowl victory for the Chiefs. I will take one of those again, and it's looking like that's very possible this year. But more than that, I want to see people's smiles again. I want to see football and baseball stadiums full again. I want to see churches full again. I want to set out the tables and the chairs in our fellowship hall in preparation for a potluck, or the youth doing their Prairie Faith Cafe. I want to see Eliana and her friends and our students in the school districts have a regular 5 days of in-person learning. And while not everyone is a fan of the greeting time that has happened here in our worship time, I miss the chance to offer a handshake or a hug. And I say that realizing that while that may and I say that knowing that not having the greeting time may be like a blessing for those of you that find that to be uncomfortable and awkward. I totally get it. I understand. But it makes me wonder, how is our world going to change moving forward? Before moving here, I did some driving for Uber just to make some extra bucks on the side. And really, I also wanted to meet some new people. There was a resort hotel close to where we lived, and there were a lot of people who were staying there that needed rides to the airport. So I knew it would give me the opportunity to meet some new people and kind of build upon my social skills and just have that experience. And I remember meeting a couple of people from New York. And when I went to put their bags in my car, I reached out to give them a handshake. And they looked at me like they've never seen that before. And they confessed in the car that, you Midwesterners, you are so friendly. And, they admitted to being uncomfortable with how Midwesterners often like to get into other people's personal bubbles. and we got to the airport to drop off the couple from New York, and I got their bags out of the car, and I remember going to reach and offer a handshake to the lady that had gotten out of the car, and then, as I remembered that they don't do handshakes, I went to put my arm and do like a side hug around her, and it was like a very awkward, nope, can't do that either. And, so it makes people like me who, that's something that we look forward to in life, that personal, close contact with people. Makes us wonder, what is the world going to be like when we get out of this, when the pandemic goes away? Will it still be in our psyche to have this 6 feet of separation and distance and no handshakes and no hugs? And maybe you're thinking of other ways of how our world may change through all of this. Instead of thinking about the future with optimism, I often find myself wondering how the future will be different. Knowing that we as humans don't just go through the world, through these types of world-altering events without some kind of change in the way that we fundamentally do things. Life feels like we are driving while looking in the rearview mirror at the things that we have left behind. They call that distracted driving. So kind of like the Israelites who were exiled in Babylon in our passage, living in a foreign land, disconnected from everything that they knew and everything that gave them their sense of identity. Even if they could somehow make their way back to Jerusalem, the temple was destroyed. It was in ruins. And so the place where God resided among the people was no longer there. It was a weird feeling for me this year, celebrating Easter and pulling up into the church driveway and realizing I would be the only car in the parking lot this year. Our first Easter in the new building. It was not supposed to go down this way. It was a weird feeling. All of the hustle and the bustle was just gone. It was quiet. It was still. All of the meaningful traditions that really do mean so much to us were stripped away. We celebrated without the early rising, without the breakfast, our bright and colorful clothing and inspirational music from the choir. All of that was just missing. And, we made the most of it for sure. We did our best, but it just didn't feel right. Something was missing. So where is God in the forced transitions of life? The exiles in Babylon had very little framework to understand that God would not only reside outside of the temple, but that God would be present in Babylon with them. They had no framework to be able to understand or believe that, because the ancient minds, they understood the gods to be territorial. The gods they lived in temples right here and not over there beyond the borders, in the land of pagans, the land of the unclean. God lives with us, is what the ancients believed, that God lives with us. God blesses us. God protects us and prospers us. And so if you wanted to prove that your God was better than the God next door, you proved it in battle, acquiring for yourself resources and treasures and land. That's how you showed how powerful your God was. But it was through defeats and humiliation and not victory that the Israelites were carried off to Babylon, to this foreign land. So there was nothing to celebrate or be happy about, only dream about the past and try somehow to survive in the present. How long will we be in this strange place? I can see how someone might feel this way in the midst of this pandemic. To dwell upon what was, absolutely, while wondering how long it will take to get back to the old ways. So far, it's been 7 long months. There's been a lot of debate about when a vaccine will be ready, because that's kind of our hero in all of this, of getting us back to normal. But most medical experts are saying that even if a vaccine is ready by the beginning of 2021, that people should not expect widespread availability until the middle, if not towards the end of 2021. So, my friends, we're talking potentially about a year and a half or more of disruption in our lives due to COVID. And then, some economists, they say that at best, some industries, like the travel industry, will take upwards of 10 years to recover their losses. There's so many interconnected things that are going to change our world as we knew it. And so things aren't going to rush back to what we had. There's not a date on the calendar to say this is when we will return, maybe like what the exiles in Babylon wondered, when can we return to Jerusalem? So we are here saying, when can we return? When can we trace our footsteps back to what we had and loved and treasured? Listen to the words of Psalm 137. These are words of a prayer of lament that are attributed to the exiles in Babylon. Beside the rivers of Babylon, we sat and we wept as we thought of Jerusalem. We put away our harps, hanging them on the branches of poplar trees. For our captors demanded a song from us. Our tormentors insisted on a joyful hymn. Sing us one of those songs of Jerusalem. But how can we sing the songs of the Lord while in a pagan land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget how to play the harp. May my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth if I fail to remember you, if I don't make Jerusalem my greatest joy. The exiles thought that remaining faithful to God meant remembering Jerusalem and always lamenting and always yearning to return. They probably felt that to find happiness and contentment in Babylon would be a betrayal of God and of the temple and of their way of life. And so it would be unthinkable for these exiles to be in Babylon and to sing these joyful songs, or to imagine any day in the future where they would once again pick up their harps and sing their joyful songs from Jerusalem. And so it is in this context that we have to wonder how Jeremiah's words sat with the exiles. Did they get this letter and they just say, sorry, wrong address, return to sender? What did they think as they heard these words from Jeremiah? Build homes and plan to stay. Plant gardens and eat the food they produce. Marry and have children. Then find spouses for them so that you may have many grandchildren. Multiply. Do not swindle away and work for the peace of prosperity of the city where I sent you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, for its welfare will determine your welfare. Wow. Here's a moment where the exiles in Babylon are thinking that life is just going to be no good, that there's no future of happiness as long as they are in Babylon. And the prophet, in essence, says, make yourself at home. Live in this present moment. Don't forsake the in-between moments. We live in the in-betweens, in the mundane and the sometimes difficult valleys of life. We go from holiday to holiday, from weekend to weekend, and event to event, always seeking either to go back to the good old days or to skip ahead to better days. But life, my friends, is lived in the in-betweens in Babylon. Life happens on the Mondays of life. And God is saying to live now, to rejoice now, to work through the tears, but expect to find purpose and hope and joy right where you are. Plan to stay and plant gardens. I wonder if that would be a theme phrase for all of us in this time period of life, in this moment of history. Plan to stay and plant gardens. Not just survive, but to thrive in the wilderness, to thrive in the in-between moments of life, going from what we had to what is on the horizon. Don't just survive, but thrive, because even when in exile, ripped from all that is familiar, the seeds that are needed to rebuild are there because God is present everywhere. God is present everywhere. And this was one of the revelations, unfolding revelations of Scripture from Genesis to Revelation, of learning that God's not trapped in a temple. God's not trapped behind borders and in a country. That God is everywhere and in all things. And the psalmist said this in chapter 24, as he says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. The world and all of its people belong to Yahweh." So wherever we step our foot, God is there, and it is holy ground, and it's a place that can be fruitful. It's a place that can bring productivity and life and bring forth blessings. I love this quote from Sister Joan Chittister. Shared this on my Facebook a few months ago, and it is a quote that has remained with me as she says, "God is in the here and now. It is we who are not. It is we who are trapped in the past, angry at what formed us, or fixated on a future that is free from pain or totally under our control. But God is in our present, waiting for us there." So often we think that God is somewhere in the past or in the better days that we're counting on. But it's in the Babylon, it's in the middle, it's in the Monday where God is waiting for us, where God is present and waiting for us there. And it's in these present moments that we are so quick to abandon that God says to us, build houses and live in them. You're not on a camping trip. This is your home. Make yourself at home. It may not be your favorite place, but it is the place where you live, so live here. Lay a foundation. Put up a roof and some walls, hang a few pictures, put some flowers on the table, and live in this place. If all you do is pine for Jerusalem, you'll never live here. Your life is as valuable here as it was in Jerusalem, and so build a Babylonian house and live here as well as you are able. Live here. Seek the welfare of the city here, because in the welfare of our city here lies our welfare. And so, my friends, I pray that as our world is continuing to unravel in our lives, in a sense, that as we are anxious to begin to weave things back together, and as things are weaving back together, that we wouldn't miss what God is doing right here and right now. That we wouldn't lie to ourselves and believe the lie that God is somewhere waiting for us in the future. But God has something for us, gifts for us, a purpose for us, plans for us today, right here, right now. May we be faithful. May we find God in the right here and right now and serve God. It's in the name of God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen.